Edward Warfield. I'm the publisher of Citybiz, and I'm honored today to interview Creig Northrop, the CEO of Northrop Realty. Welcome, Creig.
Thank you, Edwin. I appreciate you inviting me on the show.
Can you provide an introduction to Northrop Realty? How many offices, real estate professionals, recent transactions?
Certainly. First thing, I've been doing this business for 35 years. We opened Northrop Realty about 3 years ago, and we'll talk through the progression of that. But ideally, we have 14 offices right now currently. We have over 300 agents. Right now, we've already settled today, actually by tomorrow, 2,000 transactions. And we've done over $1 billion in volume mid-year.
And can you provide an overview of the footprint for Northrop Realty? How has Northrop Realty grown in and out of Maryland, and where do you plan to expand next?
Yeah, so one of the things that we have with the 14 locations, we serve home buyers and sellers in Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, D.C., and Virginia. And our community centers, we call them community centers, our offices are community centers, are in Annapolis, Clarksville, Columbia, Ellicott City, Falston, Frederick, Silver Spring, Sykesville, Lutherville, Timonium, Quarry Lake, and West Ocean City, Maryland. And then we also opened in Delaware, Fenwick and Millsboro, Delaware, and also in Bethany, which is a coastal headquarters. So we have what we call a metro headquarters in Clarksville, in Howard County, and then we have a coastal headquarters in Bethany. Our newest location we just opened last month was Quarry Lake in Baltimore.
So you've been in residential brokerage for 35 years. What are some of the milestones for Northrop Realty?
Milestones, so we talk about it. I started out as a single agent. I actually work with my mom, who's been doing this for 45 years, and 80 years old and still doing it. I got to give her credit. Listen, it's very impressive. They didn't have internet or any of that back then. She literally had to make the Facebook back then. I joke about that because she created ads that way, but you had a payphone, 10 cents, and you had to close calls fast or it cost you a lot of money. I joke about that. So I work with my mom, and then I was the youngest gentleman ever to hit $1 billion in real estate in my career. Then I met my wife, and we opened a Creig Northrop team. So we started a team in 2000, and our goal was to be number one in the nation. If you're going to do it anyway, why not be the best? So we became number one in the nation 3 times. And let's see, it was 2005, number one, and 2011. And then the final one was in 2016, or 2016-17 era. We were number one in the nation. And we thought, you know what? We call it reach one, teach one. We've done what we wanted to do. We hit a ceiling because in Maryland, as a team, you could only have 5 offices. So it kind of capped us. And so, we kind of helped write a lot of the Maryland laws for teams. And so, one of them was that one that, kind of prevented the growth of the team any further. And so we became a brokerage in 2018. We have 100% retention because we brought all of our systems and everything from the team to the brokerage. So we're a hybrid. It's like a Tesla. You don't really understand it till you drive it, but then when you drive it, you really love it. And I think it's the same kind of thought process. So by having and keeping all the systems of the team mindset, bringing it over to the brokerage, we had 100% retention. And in 2019, we actually became number one specialty brokerage in the nation in a very short time.
And so how has COVID impacted the city, suburban, and exurban markets? And which counties and cities are seeing the strongest buyer interest?
Well, what's interesting is right now it's kind of like an all principle. COVID was an all principle. The market's an all principle. Every market's experiencing incredible record highs. Median sales prices to date on the market, best time to sell, right? Average time on the market's low inventory is happening. It's consistent, very limited. Rising lumber prices are up incredible. So the first time home buyers are getting priced out of the new home market. And so just some stats for you, just to give you a sense. Baltimore Metro monthly market report. The median price household on Baltimore Metro area is $341,000. It's up 3% from previous month, 15.4% from May of last year, which is amazing, right? There were 4,318 closed sales in Baltimore Metro area. That's a record for May. I mean, absolutely amazing. Baltimore area homes are selling at a median just about 6 days. We've actually sold 650 homes this year in 1 week. I mean, that's just outstanding. And then, it'll take about, so if you had to, all of our inventory in all the market in the Baltimore market, in 3 weeks, we could be sold out. So if no other houses come on the market, in 3 weeks, you could be sold out. That's low. So that's the why of why sell now.
And with the foreclosure and eviction moratorium set to end in July, how would this affect the housing market?
I'm worried about that. Okay. So when we talk about that inventory about being 3 weeks, well, now double that to 6 weeks, to 9 weeks, to months that we were talking about prior. We are starting to see, and that will affect the market. We actually are blessed to have on the Northrop Realty company is the largest REO realtor in the state of Maryland, and his name is Daniel Register, and actually starting to see his inventory grow already. So it's signs of times to come. So I see that really affecting us in fall. I think once this moratorium is lifted, which was forbearances, that kind of allowed you not to pay your mortgage, but didn't mean you got it waived. It just deferred it. So now you got to pay this mortgage, and some people have got caught up in that. And so you're going to see a lot more of that coming. The increased inventory also is not healthy from the foreclosure side because they tend to sell cheaper or lower prices than the market values. And so they're not a helpful thing in our market. So I think you're going to see a little change in the fall with that.
So what is the Northrop Edge, and how does that differentiate your brokerage firm?
Well, one of the things that we're very passionate is about being relationship agents. There's a lot of brokerage models out there or transactions, based on transactions. I always say care about the client first, right? We take very good care of our clients. We're a full service brokerage. We have the best systems, technology, and customer service that make you feel like you're the only client. So even though we're doing 40 listings or 50 listings a week, that client feels like they're the only one. And it's so important nowadays because not only we come out of COVID, people want more personal attention than ever, right? So that's first thing. And then we take the stress out of home buying and selling with our proven systems, knowledge, and extensive experience, which is important. There are 3 buckets right now of agents out there. One is the professional, one's the unprofessional, and one is the inexperienced in this market. And so I think you're seeing the professional market and or brokerages are thriving through the market because we've got things like in-house technology, in-house marketing. You've got client care coordinators. You've got home stagers. We've got technology like 4K fusion photography, man reports for every house, floor plans for every property. We offer all this full service at no extra cost to the client. So, we call it extraordinary, service at no extra cost.
And who are the key members of your leadership team?
First and foremost, when we talk about this, and I understand CEOs, obviously, what it takes to be a CEO, and, I'm blessed to be with my partner, my wife, running Northrop Realty, is, you have to understand to scale successfully, you got to have infrastructure. Every good house that lasts at a set of time is foundation. If you don't have a good foundation, the house will blow over or whatever it will be, right? And so in order to do that, we had to get a couple C-level people. One of them, so we brought in the best, we raised the best, and we brought back the best, right? And I say that in 3 ways. First, our son, we are blessed to have all of our kids in the business, our mothers in the business. We have mothers and brothers and sisters and daughters in the business. So that's always our finest compliment of success. You want your family to work here, right? So that's first principle. Well, our son, one of our sons named William Miller, he's our chief strategy officer. He was in sales and he came into being one of our C-levels because he gets the sales, but understands the whole organization, works with a program, our CRM called Salesforce, and has really built a great premise of building our systems around. Then we had to go outside of our brokerage to find a gentleman hired from Capital One. Capital One's certainly a big name, do a lot in the commercial world. We wanted to get bigger in the commercial world, meaning commercials on TV, Super Bowl, all of that. We brought in Ray Ballars. He certainly is our chief brand officer and has brought in great new commercials. We call them the Closers Kids. It's really kind of a neat thing. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Then we brought back Maya Nadeem, our chief growth officer, because what we found was that, she kind of went out and explored a little bit what was out there, brought back that knowledge, and has helped us open these 14 offices. We couldn't have done that without her knowledge, experience, and knowing the Northrop way. And lastly, the chief marketing officer we brought back as well. He understands our brand. It's key for us to have him back in his role because he understands who and what we're selling. Because I think the first piece is you got to believe, would you sell with me? Would you hire my company? If you're a C-level and don't believe in your company, you're in the wrong company. And that's certainly how I would say that. They all have defined lanes and goals, and we leverage their collective experience and expertise to propel our brokerage to the next levels.
And how's Northrop Realty using technology to improve the home buying experience?
Well, one interesting thing about COVID, obviously, is, the shutdown was like, woo. And many people kind of paused, like a deer in headlights. And we had to decide to pivot, not pause, right? And with that, our first fact is we had to rely on our technology. About 5 years ago, I saw a program called Matterport. And I get excited about this because it was really fun, right? And so I got introduced. It was from California called Matterport. It's actually a 3D walkthrough. You can imagine, you can sit at your couch and walk through any one of my properties. And now you have floor plans. You can actually move furniture around and take a picture of your furniture and put it in the house. It's amazing technology. So we saw that about 5 years ago, incorporated. So through COVID, we've sold like 52 houses, cash as is. Buyer never even walked in the home. I mean, very impressive. And then you complement that with the fusion photography. You complement that with all that we do. It's just an added value. And that's what's created 650 houses sold in 1 week. And hence we created a commercial called 1 Week, which is a premise of what we've been running out there as well.
You've been investing heavily in some brick and mortar locations. So what are these, you call them community centers, and what role do they play?
Home buying is like the most important thing anybody's ever going to do. And I would think, and even more, is I'll give you an example. One of my first listings that I went out of COVID, one of the ones that invited me to their house. We had to get through all that. I got the listing, and we're kind of talking afterwards. She goes, stay for a little while. You're the first one I'd be able to interact personally, and I really need that now. And I think people need personal interaction. Real estate's all about the soul. The soul is what sells and not technology. Community centers are built in each of the communities we service to build the community up. We want to get the most value for our community, so we need to be the realtor resource. We need a place where they can go, where you can meet a human being selling your house and buying your house. You can be there we have moving trucks if you need them. You have, whether you need to make scanned copies, notaries, anything. All of our community centers are so important because that's what we sell. And I think that's what people are getting away from. I used to be on the board of the YMCA, same principle. The YMCA has the same principle. Have a place where people can gather, where people can understand and be a useful asset for the community. And that's what Northrop Realty is as well.
So what are the key factors required in building a successful brokerage firm?
So a successful brokerage firm comes down to 3 C's. Okay, very simply, the first and foremost, you got to care first. You got to care about the community, care about the client, care about their best interest, not your own. And I think that's the big issue right now. The problem with the model the brokerages is that you can you have to hang your license somewhere as being an agent, and they take it for granted. We in Northrop really don't do that. We want to very much care about who they are, what their name, what their family is, what they're about, so that we can understand them to understand where they are ultimately going to help our clients. So care first is the first one. The second one is consistent. You got to be consistent in your brand. Your brand has to be everywhere. Most agents and brokerages stick a hat out one time. It doesn't work. They stop doing it. Where you got to be consistent in everything you do. That same message, very important. We deliver unmatched expertise, customer service, and that's what creates us results. And lastly is confidence. Be confident in your brand. Your brand confidence, agents have to be confident. We only have full-time agents that work for us, by the way, so that we call them all-the-time agents. And we know that they're the best to represent our brand because we give them so much tools to make them the best. I call it the Ritz-Carlton of real estate. And why I say that is very simply the Ritz has everyone read their credo. It's called a credo right here. I like to show it just to give you a sense of a show and tell. It's called a credo. The Ritz-Carlton makes every one of their staff read this every day. And that's their credo. And basically it just says that 100% of people are people, basically, and that we need to take care of them. Well, Northrop Realty has the same type of thought. We have our mission statement. All of us know our mission statement, our vision statement, and our 5 core values. And I think it's important for every brokerage to be successful to remind them of what the mission is, what your values are, vision is, and then what are your key values. And I do think that's important. And I don't think we, as brokerages, I don't see that as much happening. And I think it's important.
And so, what can leaders in every industry do to stay ahead of the curve?
So I think first and foremost, I'm all about learning. I think you learn more, you earn more. I think never stop learning more about your trade. I've always wanted to learn. I'm listening to people like Buffini's and others that are, similar in trade and similar in styles. Find somebody that's better than you and position yourself with them, right? Like when my wife and I were number 2 in the country, we flew around the country to meet others better because we wanted to learn from others. Then we wanted to create the same environment here. Library of knowledge, just a matter of how much information you want to take from them. And so, in this brokerage, everyone's a giver, right? At the C levels, you can easily lose touch with people. That's the problem. C sounds sexy, but it doesn't sound sexy if you're on your own island. Okay. And I say that very important because I say lead by example. Don't ask people what you wouldn't want to be done yourself, and find other ways to get yourself in business so you don't lose the business. And I call it, a player's coach. If you're not in the game, you're no longer able to innovate and grow, right? And I think that's part of it. It sounds great to check yourself out, but I think the new brokerage model is being more in it, the pulse of the market. What's happening? What can you guide them on? There's a difference between, I call it the difference between a C-suite operator versus a C-suite innovator. Okay. And I still sell homes to this day, and I won't stop anytime soon. Very important.
So, Creig, I want to thank you for sharing your vision and the incredible history. You are ubiquitous in the state of Maryland.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We wish you the best of luck going forward, and thank you for your time.
Well, I appreciate that very much. I appreciate you wanting to interview us today and me today. And I've enjoyed just talking to you. I know there's a lot of information in a little bit of time. I hope I got to answer your questions properly.